Real-life problems. The graph below shows that the cost for hiring a conference centre depends on the number of people attending the conference. So our x-axis represents the number of people, starting at 0, going to 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. The y-axis represents the cost in euro, starting at 0, going to 100, 200, 300, 400 euro. Question 1. What is the basic fee for hiring the hall? Question 2. If 200 people attend a conference, then from the graph, estimate the cost of hiring the centre for this group. Question 3. The organiser of a conference has just received a bill of €280 for hiring the centre. From the graph, estimate the number of people who attended the conference. Part 4. Find the equation of the line in the form of y equals mx plus c. So find the equation of this straight line. Part 5. Use your equation to find the cost of hiring the centre for a group of 350 people. So part 1. What is the basic fee for hiring the hall? When x is equal to 0, y is equal to 100. So this point here is the point 0, 100. This means that there is a basic fee of €100 before any people attend the conference. So when the number of people is 0, so before any people have attended, the cost is already at 100. So the basic fee is €100. If, for example, the graph had started at this point here, this would mean that the basic fee was €200. So it cost €200 before anyone attended the conference. And likewise, if the line had started up here, the basic fee would be €300 before anyone attended the conference. If the graph had started down here, it would mean that there was no basic fee. Part 2. If 200 people attend a conference, then from the graph, estimate the cost of hiring the centre for this group. So we're trying to find the cost. So from the graph, or using the graph, means we have to draw on our graph. So what we do is we go to 200 on the number axis, which is the x-axis. And we draw a line up until we touch our graph, and then we draw a line across until we get to the y-axis. So reading from the graph, we see that the cost of hiring the hall for 200 people is €220. So we went to the axis that represented the number of people. We went to 200, we drew a line up until we touched the graph, and then we did a line across until we got to the y-axis, and we got to 220. So €220 is the cost of hiring the hall for 200 people. If we wanted to know the cost of hiring the hall for 100 people, we'd go to 100 on the people axis, we draw a line up and a line across, and we would get to approximately €160. If we wanted to know the cost of hiring the hall for 300 people, we go to 300 on the x-axis, draw a line up until we touch our graph, and then a line across, and we get to approximately €280, etc. Part 3. The organiser of a conference has just received a bill of €280 for hiring the centre. From the graph, estimate the number of people who attended the conference. So what we're going to do is go to 280 on the cost axis, which is the y-axis. So this is our cost axis, or our y-axis. And if this is 200 and this is 300, then we appear to be going up in 20s. So 200, 220, 240, 260, 280. So this is 280. We draw a line across until we touch our graph, and then we draw a line down and we get to 300. So if the bill was for €280, then 300 people attended the conference. Likewise, if we got a bill for €200 and we wanted to know how many people attended, we would draw a line across until we touch our graph and a line down, and we would see that we are at this point here, and again we're going up in 20s, So if this is 100, this is 120, 140, 160. So this tells us that there were 160 at the conference if we had a bill of €200. Part 4. Find the equation of the line in the form of y equals mx plus c. So there are two things that we need for the equation of the line. The first thing we need is the slope of the line, and the second thing we need is a point on the line. And when we have both of these, we substitute them into the equation of the line formula. So let's start off finding the slope. So in order to get the slope of a line, we need 2 points on the line. So 2 points on the graph are 0, 100, which is here, and 500, 400, which is here. So what we're going to do is label our coordinates as x1, y1, x2, y2. Then we're going to use our slope formula, which is m equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. This formula is given to us in our formula book on the coordinate geometry page. We swap y2 for 400, bring down the minus. We swap y1 for 100, and that's divided by. Swap x2 for 500, bring down the minus, and swap x1 for 0. 400 minus 100 is 300, 500 minus 0 is 500, 300 divided by 500 is 3/5. So the slope of our line is 3/5. Now we're going to use the slope and one of the points off our line and substitute them into the equation of a straight line formula. So the equation of a straight line formula is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, where m represents the slope. So we're going to go with this point, 0, 100. We're going to label it x1, y1. And we know that m is equal to 3/5, so our slope is equal to 3/5. So we bring down the y and the minus, and we swap y1 for 100. If this had happened to be minus 100, we'd end up with minus 100, which would be plus 100. Bring down the equals, swap the m for 3/5, bring down the x, the minus, and swap the x1 for 0. 3/5 times x is 3/5 x, and 3/5 times 0 is 0. So all we have to do now is bring the minus 100 over the equal sign, and it becomes plus 100. So we have y equals 3/5 x plus 100, which is in the form of y equals mx plus c. So the m being the slope of the line, and the plus c being the y-intercept. So this is the point where the line crosses the y-axis. Part 5. Use your equation to find the cost of hiring the centre for a group of 350 people. So the equation that we got from part 4 was y equals 3/5 x plus 100. So what we're going to do is swap the x for 350, because the x-axis represents the number of people, so the x values represents the number of people. So we swap the x for 350 with brackets around it. So we end up with y equals 3/5 times 350 plus 100, which gives us 310. So the cost of hiring the centre for a group of 350 people is €310. And if we were to go to 350 on our graph, which is around here, and draw a line up till we touch the graph and a line across, we would actually get to €310.